Ladies and gents, I got a juicy one for you today. I have found a person who used to work for Mr. Beast come in willing to share everything, the good, the bad, the ugly about his experience working for Mr. Beast. He worked for Mr. Beast for a short period of time, 3 months as a producer. He ended up leaving because he was burnt out of trying to do the job. His wife also worked for Mr. Beast and ended up staying there for a year. The experiences that you're about to hear are all obviously alleged. These are third-party experiences, but some of these things I think are going to shock you. Let's get into it. We got JR Timothy in the house. JR is, I've known him for, I guess it's been a few years now. He spoke at Video Marketing World, our conference, a couple of years back, and he worked for Chamber Media, and I used to consult for Chamber Media. Chamber Media, if you guys don't know, is like Harmon Brothers style content. I love how I'm like, hey, Chamber Media is like Harmon Brothers, their competitor. But Chamber Media does funny ads on Facebook to draw eyeballs and get a whole bunch of views and sell a whole bunch of products. Well, JR had a unique opportunity a couple of years ago where he was actually able to work for Mr. Beast, Beastie Boy himself. I wanted to get him on an interview so I could ask him all about the good, the bad, the ugly, things that went on behind the scenes working for Mr. Beast. So thank you very much for joining me today, sir. It's a pleasure to have you, and it's also awesome to be able to just chat with you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm ready for therapy. Here we go. Let's go. Yeah. Right? You're my therapist. I'm just gonna unload everything now.
Hey, bro, no, don't hold back. That's what we want, and that's what the audience wants. Am I right? Yeah. You guys leave it in the comments below if you want to hear JR just like put Beastie Boy on blast.
I'm not gonna blast him all that much.
I'm kidding. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, the good stuff, JR, tell us what you're up to right now and where people can find you, because I know if I do this at the end of the interview, people are going to be like, oh, I'm tired of hearing these guys talk for 35, 40 minutes and not really likely to click on any clicks. So tell people where they can find you. Yeah,
if you're interested in finding me, you can follow me on my socials. I like Instagram the most right now, jrtimothy.comedygenius. You can follow me there. But more importantly, you can catch me out with the movie Uranus Attacks that's coming out. That's Uranus Attacks the movie. And Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can contact me there, writer and producer for that. It's going to be a fun time. I even act in it too. So go check out Uranus Attacks. Or you can just contact me on the normal socials.
And if you guys want to see one of the funniest ads I've ever seen in my life, and you like poop jokes, check out the ad on YouTube. Just search Uranus Fudge Company. It is hilarious.
Uranus Fudge Factory.
Uranus Fudge Factory. Type it into YouTube, and you'll be able to see one of the funniest ads ever created. JR's starred in that, and it's hilarious.
Literally the top video search, Uranus Fudge Factory.
All right, brother, let's jump into it. Okay, so break this down. How did you get hired by Mr. Beast? What was the process like there?
So Mr. Beast actually consistently hires a lot of producers. There's a lot of producers that work on the production team because in order to make those gigantic videos that you see, it takes a team of like at least 10 people up to like 20 producers. Making phone calls, sending emails, just getting everything organized from the construction of props and all that stuff. So while the Mr. Beast YouTube company has somewhere between like 50 to 70 like full-time employees, they actually have even more contractors that they bring on for a long time. So there's a very high turnover rate at Mr. Beast too, which makes sense, as we will discuss later on. The turnover rate totally makes 100% sense with it. But it was just something on LinkedIn that we saw, and they had seen some of our ads over at Chamber Media, and they reached out to Chamber like, hey, would you mind sending some of your video producers over to us, and we can do like some sort of exchange kind of thing? And so me and a couple other people from Chamber, we worked with it. It was a very weird relationship when you think about it, because one company's sending over some of their best employees over to another company to just like do videos for that. It was interesting, but that's how I got mixed up. I was at Chamber Media the name recognition there helped me segue a producer job over at Mr. Beast Company. And so I was producing videos over there for them in North Carolina.
Okay, awesome. So, and I'm assuming from Chamber Media perspective, the benefit to it was, hey, we're going to send some people over there to learn how these guys are doing production at such a high level, which could then benefit us in our production, right? Did I get that right, or is that?
Okay. Yeah, no, that was right. It was definitely, it wasn't a monetary exchange of stuff. It was like, let's get some experience and expand the network kind of thing. So that's kind of what it is. It's like sabbatical, I guess, when teachers go to like improve their own craft or something like that. That's kind of what it was.
Okay, perfect. All right, so they send over this request, send us some producers. Was there like an interview process that you had to go through, a drug test? You have to pee in a cup or anything like that?
They don't drug test at Mr. Beast. But
Whew.
there was an interview process. I talked to Kara, their HR person, and we sat down, we chatted, learned a few things about some of the people that I would be working with, and then I went out there and started producing stuff. It was the most wild. The interview was really good, very normal interview, aside from like talking to people who work with Mr. Beast and all that. Yeah. But after getting the job, they buy your plane ticket, they hook you up with this rental car. And I like had my own like 2-bedroom apartment to myself for a few months while I was fulfilling that contract. That was cool. I've never been on a job like that before, where it was just like, hey, yeah, here's a 2-bedroom apartment, go hang out and come to work.
Okay. So they really took care of you then.
Yeah. That is one thing. They definitely take care of the producers, and they try to put them in. Yeah, they set them up for success in the way that they don't have to worry about bills or really their car or anything. The only thing you really have to worry about is making sure that you eat and sleep and show up to work on time and do your job. So there was a lot of stress that was just kind of like alleviated from that, where you could just operate at the highest capacity you could.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that leads me to another question. But before I go down that road, how long was your contract and when was it? How long ago was it?
So my contract was for 3 months, and it was from like March to March, April, May, June. So like the first part of June is when the contract was up. But we stayed out there for a year because my wife actually ended up working for their HR department and doing payroll and HR stuff. So we ended up staying out there with Mr. Beast for a little bit longer than what we had originally thought.
And this was 22?
Yeah. Okay. 2022, March 2022. That was when the Mr. Beast conversation started. And then May 23 is when we left North Carolina.
Okay, got it. Okay, so you guys go out there. You stay in this 2-bedroom apartment. They take care of you for that, alleviate some of the stress because they're bracing you for the stress of the job, right?
Yeah.
Talk about your first day. Like, what was going through your head? Did it meet expectations, or was it like a wild experience?
It was, man, my first. So getting out there here, this is an interesting story. Getting off the plane and going to get the rental car that I was supposed to take to Greenville, because Mr. Beast lives in Greenville. It's like where he grew up. Yeah. And he's got 3 studios out there, but the airport that everyone flies into is in Raleigh, which is like an hour and a half away from there. Okay. So you got to drive out there. They didn't send a bus to like pick people up. It was just like, hey, here's a rental car. You'll use it for the duration of your stay out there. So I get to the rental car dealership, and I give them my name and everything, and they see the name of the company, and they're like, Mr. Beast. And I was like, yeah, Mr. Beast. It's like the YouTube guy. I'm like, yeah, it's him. He's like, man, what kind of car do you want? And and I was like, just give me the car that they paid for, because there was no way I'm just going to be like, give me the most expensive car or anything like that. And he's like, man, I'll hook you up. I got a Mustang for you. And he gave me this convertible Mustang vehicle. And I was just like, what? I'm going to get in trouble or something. I'm just like, are you sure? Like, that's the car that they paid for? Like, yeah, man, don't worry about it. So I get in the car, I drive it out there, and then come to find out the other contractors that were also hired and brought out there, I see them with equal like muscle cars too. Like someone's got a Camaro, someone else has a Mustang. I'm just like, oh, okay. So they're like, this was okay. Like that guy was probably told like, give him a good car or something. So that was wild. That was like my first experience of like kind of being attached to the Mr. Beast name. So I was like super stoked and excited. First day at work, they take us to Studio C. Okay. He has 3 studios out there. I worked out of Studio C, which I want to say it's the studio. I can't remember what they had filmed in there before, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just like a big warehouse looking thing. Yeah. But we go in, we walk around, we're getting the tour. We see all of his YouTube subscriber trophies on this staircase as we're going up and everything. Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool. You can like see the history. You can feel like the creative vibe going around. And then when we get up to the offices after that, it's like really plain white walls. But the reason the walls are plain is because they painted them with this, kind of special white wall acrylic paint that you can do like dry erase markers on the board.
Cool. Uh-huh.
Yeah. They don't believe in scripts. Exactly.
Okay.
When I met his writers, sorry, I'm kind of getting off track now with it. Is it still good? You still want this?
Yeah. So this is good. Well, so let's kind of dial that in. So they don't believe in scripts. So what is it exactly that you were hired to come out and do? What are the tasks that they're like, we need you for this, JR?
Yeah. So I was hired to be a producer, and then at the same time, I was also going to simultaneously work with their writers team or try to transition to the writers team. But for the first one, I was hired to work on their 100 million subscriber video and their Willy Wonka video. Okay. And when you're a producer, being a producer, that could mean a lot of different things. For me specifically, I was in charge of prop construction and transportation of ballistics and things like that, because we had to get fireworks to the Bahamas, but they didn't want just any fireworks. They wanted like borderline RPGs kind of deal that they can shoot off from the beach. So I was trying to like coordinate and figure out how that worked too.
So you get there, you get the tour. When was the first time you met the Beastie?
The Beast?
The Beast.
The first time I saw Jimmy was maybe like 3 or 4 days into the job. Mm-hmm. He was, it was, what's the word? It wasn't surreal. Kind of soft-spoken. That's the best way I could do it. It was the most soft-spoken introduction that we've ever had, because there was a team of like 12 of us all in this like kind of office space room, and we're all working on our computer sending emails, and then just silently in walks Jimmy, and he just comes in, doesn't say anything to anyone, sits down on the couch, he's like looking around. Someone brought their dog, so he's like petting the dog, and he's just kind of like looking at everyone, and he's looking at the wall, doesn't say anything to anyone, and he's literally like behind me, like he's like 3 feet behind me, and I'm just typing on my computer, literally just like over my shoulder. I'm like, is anyone gonna say hi? Like anyone? And that was the other thing too. I want to say I was the only producer that had the balls to like speak out and actually like say something, because he's just a normal person, even though he does make like millions of dollars every month.
Yeah. When he's ultra famous, you know?
Yeah, ultra famous. But it was cool. But like, I just like looked over my shoulder, I'm like, oh, hey, Jimmy. And he's like, hey. And he like smiled and waved, and then went back to the dog. And then I just went back to work after that. I'm like, cool. I said hi to Mr. Beast. And that was the first interaction with him.
So all of you guys in this room were new?
Yeah. Aside from, so 2 people in the room, 4 people in the room had been working for Mr. Beast for a while. At least, let's see, at the time, 3 or 4 years, like friends that he grew up with. Like those people were in the room. There was like 4 of them. And then someone else was like another employee that had been there for like a year or something. And, so they kind of knew it, and maybe they like nodded or something when he walked in, but it was just complete silence in the room. Just like, just typing. I'm like, no one's going to say hi to the boss. Like,
Why do you think he didn't say anything to you guys?
Maybe he just wanted to test and see what was going to happen because he knew like 90% of the people in that room were brand new producers or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was just chilling out, just hanging on the couch.
That's awesome. You were in charge of some of the prop construction stuff, a lot of the behind the scenes work. Let's kind of move into that. Like, tell us. I mean, we see Jimmy's like huge sets. We see all the things that he's doing. Building these massive things, blowing stuff up all the time, traveling all over the world, doing these crazy experiments, big and small. What was it like working on prop construction team? Give us the good, the bad, the ugly.
All right. The good part of it was they gave you a lot of creative liberty to kind of figure out how to do it. One of the things I was supposed to figure out how to construct was a floating octagon ring that people could just like kind of stand on to just get rid of. It was like one of those they wanted just a floating octagon, but not like a complete circle solid piece. They wanted like an octagon donut, something that could float in the water and get dragged behind a boat, and with certain number of striped lines that they could do to eliminate and make the circle smaller for people to stand in. Because it was for the 100 million subscriber video, so he was giving away an island. So he had to come up with a way to eliminate people. But that was one of the things I was supposed to construct. So the good part was like, I was able to like just kind of like think, and whatever materials could come to mind for me to use, that's what we would use. And we had to, put it into practice. So that's the good part. A lot of creative liberty. The bad part is because Mr. B's team doesn't believe in scripts or even writes things down in a transferable format. Like I said, they have white walls that they wrote everything on. You have to take a picture of it, bring it back to your desk, and then just use that as a reference to it because, there's no 12-point Courier font script format kind of thing. I imagine it works very similar to a reality show in the sense that, like, there's just kind of bullet points that you're supposed to hit for the things, but when you're constructing props, stuff like that, like, you kind of need detailed information. But their creative writers team, and writers team is in quotes because it doesn't exist. They're just like, let's get a ring and people will just get eliminated on it, and we'll drag that ring behind a boat, and that's it. That's all the description that you have. So when you bring your creative idea in your head of like what can work and what would look cool to them, it's very different from what they would think, because in their minds they're picturing it, but they're not going to describe it down on paper. So that's the bad part. So you're constantly going back and forth to like, do you want it to look like this? Do you want it to look like that? So you end up creating something like between 7 to 10 different ideas of these different creative things. And then they're kind of supposed to pick and choose from what they think is the best. Downside of that is that they are always so busy with other videos because they're constantly shooting that they don't have time to like even like sit down for like 30 minutes to kind of hammer out like, this is what I really like. Let's go with this. Yeah. So it's hard to get a green light on a lot of projects out there.
Okay, so that's probably led to somewhat of a stressful environment. What were some of the things that were like most stressful about working for Mr. Beast?
Oh my gosh, man. The most stressful part is his life friend employees and the middle management team that he has. Because the middle managers, they're his friends and his family. So you can't really say a lot to them. And there's some people who straight up lied on their resume. Like they had to have. I don't know how they got there. But I was talking about C-stands with someone, and someone was like, what's a C-stand? And I was like, it's what you put lights on. I thought didn't you work on like a Netflix set or something? Or did you say that you came from Paramount and you worked on sets? Like, how do you not know what a C-stand is? Like, it's just basic things like that. But that was like kind of the middle level friends and managers. They're really good people, but as far as like their understanding of video production, they're the bottleneck because they bring in all these like freelance producers that are really good at their job, and they're just trying to like make the video happen and force it through this like cheese grater thing of just like trying to make something happen from it.
You know, one side of me is like, I look at Jimmy's productions and I'm like, oh, he's always including his friends in the productions. But then are these the same folks that are kind of getting in the way of like the actual, the people who know what they're doing actually doing their work? Or is it like other friends and family?
The friends that are in the videos, like Chandler and Nolan, that's it. People like them, they're not in charge of production. They're just like actors. Okay. They're talent. They're just the people that like you talk to their assistant and the assistant will tell them when to be on set and everything. And they just come and play. Those guys are a different part of his production team. They're not even production team. They're just actors.
Okay. Yeah.
His production team are like friends that he grew up with, and they kind of learned how to do videos from his early years of doing videos. So they have a practice process of a Mr. Beast style video, which is kind of just haphazard, run and gun, make it work, throw some duct tape on it, which, I mean, works for video productions. But when you get to his scale and stuff like that, it ends up costing way more money when you make videos like that versus if you did like high-end production team kind of professional stuff.
Okay, so ultimately, like, the bottleneck being this production team made up of friends and family of Jimmy that ultimately like leads to inefficiencies and wasted money.
Yeah. Can I say this? I'm going to say it anyways. Jimmy metaphorically set like $5 million on money one month when I was there, in the fact that he scrapped 2 videos that cost total of $5 million in terms of sponsors and everything like that. And it's because just mismanagement of resources and things like that. And man, and he was like, no big deal. It's fine. You know, we'll figure it out next month. And I'm just like, bro, how? But I mean, he just, you know, he's got his machine going, but that's kind of, you know, that's what bad middle managers will cost you. Millions.
Yeah. So he had these projects that he was like, hey, let's go full bore, spends $5 million on them. These projects don't work out. And so poof, $5 million gone.
Yeah. I won't say it's completely gone because he still has some digital assets from it that you can use in the form of shorts and things like that. But for what it was originally intended, it never happened.
$5 million in production, that's a lot of money.
Some of it was sponsor deals too, like those kind of things. So that was a big chunk. Like sponsors gave him X amount of dollars to do something and it's gone.
Okay. What was one of like the biggest wastes of money that you're like, yeah, I saw this happened, we scrapped that. Can you give us like a hard example of like something that they're like, we spent a lot of money and a lot of time on this, and then it was just like, poof, gone.
So when I was there was 2 big teams working on 2 different videos simultaneously. 100 million subscriber video, that was my team. The other team, I can't even remember what the concept for the video was, but it was something with a Lamborghini being hoisted up into the air and being put on like a tripwire and timed to just come crashing down if someone didn't do it right. And it was like a scavenger hunt. Like the video itself, the concept just died. Like the producers didn't know how to describe it to us on the other side. And I think ultimately that's what ended up happening with that video was like they just didn't know what to do with it.
So they buy a Lambo, or did they spend the money? Okay, so they buy a Lambo. They want to rig it all up. They build all this stuff out, and then they just scrap it.
Yeah. Well, they still filmed it. Everything.
So the Lambo got destroyed.
Yeah.
They just have that's what you're saying. They still have the digital assets, but they never released any of it.
Yeah, never released it. I mean, it probably did get released in one of his like compilation videos. Whenever he says things like, you know, we film a lot of things at Mr. Beast, but not everything we film gets put into the show. So we want to show you some clips of things that didn't make it. And that's probably how the video assets still got used.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so on like a normal day-to-day, what was like your work life like? How many hours did you put in? What time did you show up? What time did you go home? That type of thing.
So I was dedicated, man. I was like, I'm working for Mr. Beast. I'm going to make the best damn video ever. All right. And I got a team. We're going to make something awesome. So like every morning I'm up at like 7:30. I make myself eggs. I get into the studio, see about 8:45 a.m. And then because the video is for the island, his $100 million subscriber video, it's a lot of email correspondence going back and forth to the Bahamas. So I get to the office and I'm just like on the computer emailing firework people, construction people, Bahamian people, just going back and forth. And I do that. I work through lunch. I don't really typically eat lunch ever. Like I'll go to the bathroom and that's kind of my break for the day. And then about 5:30, 6 o'clock, that was when I went home. Because it's just like, it was only me out there. My wife was still in Utah. So when I go home, it's just like an empty apartment that has a TV in it. And so I'm just like, you know what? The most interesting thing being out here is working at Mr. Beast. So I'll just be here for most of the day. So that was my life, like 8:45 to about 5:30, 6, sometimes 8 p.m. A few times I stayed till 8 p.m. Because there was just a lot of emails going back and forth. And I was like, I'm just going to stay here and keep on working, keep the work out of the apartment, which was empty anyways and boring. So
did you ever have any interaction with Jimmy himself other than that first day?
He did sit down and he talked with kind of the whole team one day. And he kind of explained his process for the videos and how they work. And it wasn't anything like super, like, I know saying that it's like, ooh, what did he say? Like gold nuggets, but it wasn't anything that like, you know, I didn't really learn an ad agency already. It was just kind of his style. Like except for YouTube and short form ad videos, the big difference is that Jimmy focuses on the first 30 seconds of the video. Mm-hmm. And if he can keep people engaged for 30 seconds, he'll win them over for the rest of the video. Versus like an ad agency video, you got to get them in the first 7 seconds. If you get them past 7 seconds, you've won. Just with name recognition, that kind of stuff. So it's very similar to the ad world from what I looked at. It's just that Jimmy had more time. He also had a lot of name recognition to help him carry that stuff, it was well-deserved. It's well-earned.
What would you say was your biggest frustration during your time there?
Oh, man. Dude, they cut me deep a few times. I was once mocked for being married. That was interesting. It's like, oh, man. And it was, you know, there's like, oh, this guy's married. He's got the old, like, ball chain or something. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it was more like, oh, you're married? Oh, dude, you got a lot. And I was like, bro, what are you talking? I'm happily married. I love my life. So that was one thing. And that's kind of the culture
who was mocking you? Like, was it just other new employees, or was it like some of these established friends, family?
These were Mr. Beast employees. These were Mr. Beast people. And I can't say names because then I have to say allegedly after every single thing after that.
Sure.
But, you know, there was that. I also got made fun of. I got called a boomer for wanting to use Slack to communicate to people. And I was like, what? What?
Slack just gained popularity like 4 years ago.
I know. I freaking love Slack. I didn't realize that was a boomer technology thing. The way that they communicate is just, oh my gosh. So that's probably the biggest frustration. From a business standpoint, every one of the Mr. Beast employees has their preferred method of communication. Some of them like to use Telegram more than others. Like, they like to use Telegram. And I'm like, I thought Telegram was like a proprietary app or something that Mr. Beast made. But then I looked down, like, oh, this is just like a private VPN message. Why are they doing this? Why aren't they texting? Another way to do it is you have to talk to their personal assistants at Mr. Beast. And everyone on the middle management, they got their own personal assistant. And if you want to talk to someone who like gives the thumbs up and green lights things, you got to go through the assistant to do that. If you do email, like they don't like email, that none of them use email. Calendar invites, you can't do calendar invites because that also goes through email. But yeah, communication methods is probably the most frustrating thing at Mr. Beast if you're working for him, because
Yeah.
there's not one method to do it. You have to know 7 different people's preferred method of communication.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then what was it that ultimately led to you leaving? Would you have stayed longer, or was it just end of a contract? I don't really care anymore, or did they offer you a job? How did that go out?
So contract was up and I was done. I was burned. It was hard. Like, I've worked on hard videos before and the money was good, but it's just, at some point, like, your mental health has to come first, and
Sure.
you just gotta like be like, enough's enough, man. Even my wife, who so we had stayed out there for a year. My wife
Yeah.
was enjoying HR, but she was on the payroll side of things, or she wanted to do payroll, and she only wanted to do payroll, but she ended up getting pulled more into the HR department. And don't worry, I'll get around to the video stuff, because this is the reason why we ended up leaving with it. We just ended up learning a lot of things about the Mr. Beast company that were like, this isn't a good place for us spiritually, emotionally, physically. We need to find a way to leave. And so about December of 2022, we're like, let's look for a way out from Mr. Beast. And May of 23, we're like, we're done, we're gone.
Yeah, got it. So you said in the beginning there's a high turnover, and I'm assuming is that in like full-time employees or contractors or both? And what do you think some of the
The turnover rate is really just for contractors.
Yeah.
They have like 3 full-time recruiters there that are just constantly looking for producers to come in, and they're the pay is great. By the way, I was getting like $10,000 a month working for them, and
nice.
all of my expenses and stuff was paid for, so it was a great deal. But at the same time, you're sacrificing your mental stability, all that stuff. But yeah, so the high turnover rate really consists for just the contractors, because Mr. Beast takes care of his friends and family, which is appropriate. Like, you know what? If I was Jimmy and the situation same, I would want to take care of my friends and family too. Sure. But I think Jimmy's still got like a couple levels between him and his middle managers, which are those people where I don't think he knows exactly everything that's going on at his company.
Ooh. That's awesome. Feel free to not share or share whatever. But what are some of the things that you would say he doesn't know about that you'd be like, if he knew about this, this be a problem?
He probably doesn't know about the turnover rate. He definitely doesn't know about the turnover rate. So that's definitely one of the things. I don't think he knows about the business practices that take place either, because he's really only brought in if there's like a really big problem at the company, like they're getting sued, or there was a sexual allegation charge or something like that, or something was stolen or something. Like, that's the only time Jimmy really comes in to deal with the company stuff, because, he's hired a bunch of people so that he can just focus on the creative side and making videos that, bring millions and millions of views to his channel, which is good. Like, that's a good practice. But I don't think he fully understands some of the business dealings that go underway.
Do you think that there are things like going on behind the scenes that are hidden from Jimmy, just to keep him buffered from those things? Or do you think that there are practices that are like, man, this is actually like really not good? You think that stuff's kind of going on behind the scenes there?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I watched that happen right in front of me, with the person that was in charge of, my direct manager. I watched her do that at least twice.
Like what? Like do what?
Oh, okay. Let's see. How can I say this one without giving too many details? One of the things that we had to do for the 100 million subscriber video was figure out how to transport all of the set pieces and the talent and the contestants and the production team to the island and keep them there for like a week, because that's like, it's 120 people that you got to like send out to the island. And so we found a cruise ship, not me, someone else found a cruise ship, a cruise ship company that was willing to offer their entire cruise ship to Mr. Beast to make this video, and that would have solved all of our problems. Because if you didn't know this about yachts, you're only allowed to have up to 8 people on the yacht, because even if the yacht can fit like 30 people, you can only have enough people stay asleep on the yacht that have like the number of lifeboats on it or something like that, because no one wants another Titanic situation. So that's like maritime law. But with a cruise ship, we could fit 3,000 people on it, no problem. So it solved a lot of problems. Now, the thing that was hidden from Jimmy about this was that the reason that cruise ship fell through, and I wish I could. I cannot tell you the reason why the cruise ship fell through, but I will tell you that if anyone at any other company did what this person did, they would have been fired and on the spot just kicked out the door like, how dare you embarrass the company like that. But they cost the team a cruise ship and made everyone have to hustle to figure out how to transport 120 people to the Bahamas.
Okay. So don't give detail. Is there... But can you like allude to like, was it lying? Was it, It was irresponsible substance use.
Okay. It was irresponsible substance use. I won't say, because that alludes that there's like an addiction. It wasn't an addiction. It was irresponsible substance use.
Got it.
That cost the boat.
That cost the boat and ended up costing the company hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Woo.
Yep.
And that was hidden from Jimmy.
Yep. Yeah, the reason we lost that was definitely hidden from Jimmy.
Okay, so you guys ended up looking for a way out. You found a way out. Were there any circumstances that, upon exit that were like, hey, this was kind of weird? Or was it all kind of like, hey, yep, we're leaving this job. We're out. Thanks. Goodbye. And send off.
It was a lot like that. The second one. We, towards the end of 2022, there was just so much. We're like, oh, this is too much, man. This is too heavy. These people are crazy. And so by the time we were ready to go out, we had some good friends that we made out there, and we were sad to leave those good people that we had like made friendships with. Yeah. But man, it was a very all right. Thank you. Have a great day. We were very careful with everything that we signed, and we're just like, we're out. We're gone.
Yeah. It's good. That's good, man. Well, in one word, can you describe what it was like working for Jimmy?
In one word, educational.
Okay. Hey, that's on the positive side.
Yeah, that goes both ways. There was a lot of really good things. There was like, this is kind of how businesses should work. This is like things that you would never do with a business. Yeah. It was educational. And I did learn from working at Mr. Beast, and overall it was an experience that made me a better person, made me more secure with myself, and helped me grow as an individual despite everything that happened. It's an experience that maybe I could have done a few things different, but ultimately I think it was an eye-opening thing that really, really trained me and built me up.
One of the things that I'll say that I've noticed is there is a massive amount of people who claim credit or they tout themselves as experts because they worked for Mr. Beast. I see it all the time on Twitter, on Facebook. We hear it on YouTube. I was Mr. Beast's thumbnail designer. I was a producer for Mr. Beast. I was a strategist for Mr. Beast. Is this like these people who generally say these things? I don't know if you've noticed that as well, but is it typical for people to kind of tout that like they have their own silver play button, like it's an award for having to work with Mr. Beast? Or do these people actually make an impact on Mr. Beast content?
No, they don't. They don't. And I'll be the first person to say that I've said things to that extent before, but I don't do it to be like, I'm the reason Mr. Beast's video got millions of views. It's like, no, never in a world. The way that I plug myself when I say this, I worked as a producer at Mr. Beast, and I made the 100 billion subscriber video, Willy Wonka video, and 100 boys versus 100 girls video. And that's it. That's all I say, because, I had the different jobs inside of that, but Jimmy has his own team, his own inner circle that's at the very top. His brain trust
Yes.
Brain trust, that's the word.
Yeah.
Those people definitely have a high impact on the video. And Jimmy's mindset also has an impact on the video. If someone's a producer at Mr. Beast, you can take them at their word because they definitely probably were a producer at Mr. Beast, but they were very much like a foot soldier. They worked hard. Hopefully they worked hard. But like I said, high turnover rate. They either burned out because they got too tired, or they were fired because they lied on their resume and got caught, or they just did bad over there and got booted, or they just didn't know how to play the political minefield that it is to work at Mr. Beast.
And that's great. I appreciate all that. So let's kind of wrap maybe with this question. What would you say to somebody who is looking for a job working for Mr. Beast? What advice would you give them?
Oh, okay. Yes. I've been asked this before. I know exactly. If you want to work at Mr. Beast and you can do it, definitely do it. Okay? And when you do it, go in with the mindset of not being emotionally attached to your work. Understand that it's a job. They're hiring you to do a job, whatever the grunt work, whatever emails or figuring things out or frustration, those kind of things, whatever it is, that's what they hired you to do. They pay you money to make you take the stress off their plate. That's what it really is. So when you go in, have that mindset that you are going in to do some of the hardest, most tedious, most bullshit work ever for a video producer. But that's why they're paying you the money that they're paying you, because those middle manager people want to look good and they want you to work hard to make them look good. So go in with that mindset. Keep that in mind. And when you get there, be thinking about the end of your contract. Don't think that Mr. Beast is going to be the end-all, be-all for you. It's really only the end-all, be-all for a few people there. It's a stepping stone that you should use strategically to get you to your next position somewhere. Maybe on like a film set with Paramount, or another YouTube channel that is making videos similar to Mr. Beast, or making videos that are for social media. But if you want to work for Mr. Beast, it's still a good experience if you keep a healthy mental balance with it and you don't get sucked into the bullshit and you're able to keep your head above water, and then just plan your next step to go somewhere else.
I love it, man. That's awesome. And I appreciate your time today, JR. Again, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, jrtimothy.comedygenius. You can also see me in the movie Uranus Attacks. You can follow that at uranusattacks.themovie on Instagram and TikTok. Writer, producer, actor in that. It's going to be hilarious, funny movie for all the kids and family and enemies. I'm not particular about who watches it, so yeah, share it with everyone.
Spectacular. Well, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate your time today. And all you guys who are watching this, thanks so much for watching. If you guys want to see my interview with Sean Cannell, check out this video right here. Catch you on the next one. Later. Bye.